All right, let's get into it. Today we are dropping the noodle on a survival guide for what is, let's be honest, one of the toughest journeys out there, making it as a content creator for the long haul. And I'm not talking about just going viral for a week. I'm talking about building a career that actually lasts a decade. So let's dive into this mixtape for the modern creator. And this quote right here, from creator-educator Samir Chaudhry, it gets right to the heart of the whole thing. This is the central conflict for every single creator today. You gotta ask yourself, are you chasing the temporary high of more views, or are you building a brand that actually means something? Because getting that wrong, well, it isn't just a mistake. It's probably the #1 reason most creators burn out and disappear. So think of this part as the cold open. This is your audition, and you're auditioning for your viewers' most valuable asset, their attention. In a world with literally infinite choices, you don't get a second chance to make that first impression. So let's break down exactly how you pass this audition every single time. All right, let's drop the needle on track 1, the click. This is the tactical, completely non-negotiable first step. If you can master this, you earn the right to make the rest of the album. But if you fail here, the record just stops before it even starts. You have got to get this mindset shift. It is absolutely critical. See, on platforms with those passive feeds, content is just sort of pushed at you while you scroll. But YouTube, it requires an active choice. A real person sees your thumbnail, they read your title, and they make a conscious decision right then and there. Is this worth my time? You aren't just given that click, you have to earn it. So, how do you earn it? You earn it with this. The curiosity gap is the engine that drives the click. It's all about presenting just enough information to make someone lean in and go, wait, what's the answer to that? You're not giving them the whole story up front. You're making them desperately need to know how the story ends. And this slide just illustrates it perfectly. Look at this. On the left, you've got this super generic title, a blank thumbnail, 01 Samir. I mean, it expects you to already care, right? It creates zero curiosity. But on the right, you have a masterclass from Veritasium. Why are there 96,000 million black balls on this reservoir? The image is bizarre, the number is so specific and huge, and the question is completely out of left field. It doesn't just invite you to click, it practically forces you to, just to figure out what on earth is going on. So it all boils down to these 3 rules. They're the foundation. Rule 1 is all about that curiosity gap we just covered. Rule 2 is about delivering on your promise once they actually click. Don't waste their time. And Rule 3, give them more. That's about building a whole catalog that turns a one-time viewer into a loyal fan for life. Okay, time for track 2. Now, earning the click, that's a tactic. It'll get you a hit single. But building a brand, that's the strategy. That's what gets you a classic platinum-selling album. This is where we move beyond just chasing views and start building an identity that people actually genuinely care about. And here's the crucial point. Not all views are created equal. Not even close. You could get 44 million forgettable views on a YouTube short like Samir did and build absolutely nothing from it. Those are just empty calories. The real goal is to create memorable views, experiences that actually stick with someone and build real trust in your brand. And to build that memorable brand, you really need a framework, something like this. First up, identities. Who exactly are you for? For Colin and Samir, it's aspiring and professional creators. Simple. Second, emotions. How do you want them to feel? They chose educated, empowered, and less alone. And finally, actions. What do you want them to actually do? For them, the answer is just so clear. Press publish. This little 3-part framework becomes your North Star for every single creative decision you make. Which brings us right to track 3, the business. This is where your brand, your art, and your community all meet commerce. It's all about turning your creative passion project into a sustainable, long-term business without selling out your soul. Now, when you start talking to potential partners or sponsors, this right here is the single most important question you can possibly ask. It just cuts through all the noise. Their answer will tell you immediately if you're on the same page. Are they just chasing quick sales, or do they want to build a real brand association with you? Knowing this upfront will save you from so many bad partnerships. And, most importantly, it protects your audience. You know, the key to being seen as a professional is having a system, and your sponsorship deck is that system. You start by clearly defining your audience. Then you add some powerful social proof, quotes from your community or maybe industry leaders. Create a simple menu of what you offer, and then, finally, you set the price. You have to state your value with confidence. This kind of clarity and professionalism, it elevates you from just being another creator for hire to a true strategic partner. And that brings us to the final track on this whole album, The Long Game. This one isn't about tactics or business frameworks. No, this is about the human side of creativity and the emotional resilience it takes to actually survive the decade. Every single long-term creator faces this. It's this crazy psychological trap where a video with, say, 80,000 views feels like a complete and utter failure, like 0 people watched. And that feeling is real, and it is dangerous. It completely divorces you from the reality that you connected with a stadium's worth of actual human beings. Learning how to manage this is just crucial for your mental health. You know, nothing puts the long game into perspective more than Samir's own story. After 14 years of grinding, he finally bought and built his dream home in his hometown. I mean, it was the physical manifestation of all his success. And then, in a wildfire, it was just gone. And in that moment of total gut-wrenching loss, the real value of his decade of work was revealed. And it wasn't the house. It was the community, the friends, the family, the fellow creators, and the audience that he had built these real relationships with over 15 years. They were the ones who showed up to catch him. That was the true manifestation of all his work. So as we close this one out, we really come full circle. The journey, it starts with a simple click, right? But if you play the long game the right way, it ends with something so much more profound: a community, a brand, and a real lasting impact. So this is the question I'll leave you with. When you look back after 10 years in this game, what metric is truly going to matter to you? The temporary high of viewership numbers? Or the enduring value of the brand you built and the community you served? The choice is yours.